Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up with you.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
Yo, hello everybody. What's going on? Hi. This is your boy Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, your host with the most, the man with the plan, the man that brings the power within the hour. You know the voice, and you know that I'm the choice. And here we are, doing it once again here on the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Actually taking the show on the road today. It's on a little bit of a remote location. I'm not going to really say where it is, but just know that it is over in the DMV area, somewhere in the Washington DC, Maryland, Northern Virginia metropolitan area. And it's good. It's good to be here. I'm glad that I'm here, and it's awesome for the fact that just for saying it, that we're creating great content and more content for you guys, because number one, it's something that I enjoy, something that I like to do. And number two, it's just something that I hope that brings you guys much enjoyment when you listen to, every episode of my podcast, And I know I've said this a lot like a broken record, but I totally mean it when I do say the fact that, when I do it for you guys, I truly mean it, because I believe that not only this is my show, but this is your show too. You know what I mean? This is, this show is for everybody. This is like, I feel like it belongs to the community, and I think that when people have a say about, certain things about, like, I would like you to do this, or I'd like you to do that, or, I would hope that maybe this could happen or that could happen. I really take it into heart, and I try to do everything I can to implement, those requests, and to implement, certain suggestions and everything like that. And that's why I always say that, this is your show as well, not just mine, because without you guys, this thing would not even be happening. This thing would just kind of be on the wayside. It would just be a situation where nothing would ever happen and nothing ever will. But, for the fact that we've been doing this for about 4 years now, and, we're still making content and going strong, that definitely says a lot. It really, really says a lot. And hopefully, we'll do this for many, many more years to come, because I believe in this type of, creative medium. I like the fact that I'm doing this way, and I like the fact that I found something besides maybe acting, which is also another creative medium that I love to engage in, that I found something that I feel like, yeah, this is me. This is me, and this is something that I love. And, I think it was a real good transition, as being a film actor and a stage actor, to transition into something really cool and awesome as podcasting. I mean, who would have ever thought, honestly, that somebody like myself could possibly get into something like the art of podcasting. I never thought this would ever be an imaginable thing, and I never thought that this would be more or less become the reality. But here we are, and I'm grateful, because, I'm still here 4 years later, still going strong. And, there's some people that are, out there, but they're either not making as much content as they should, or they tried and they kind of waved the flag, the white give up flag, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I surrender. So I'm considerably lucky, I really am. So, as always, I usually have Hector with me, but he's not here for obvious reasons, because he doesn't even know that I'm actually away. So there you go. And Bob over at the Prototype Studio, well, there's no way that he knew that I was going to be here. Not like he would actually be over here anyways. So, because usually when I do a little bit of my own traveling and getting away and stuff like that, I do that for me, you know what I mean, and no one else. So normally with that situation, there's no guests are allowed with this one, unless, there's like a real cool group thing that I like to do and we're all hanging out and we're chilling, you know what I mean? So there it is. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Get into the thick of things today. It's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit unconventional. And I'm going to go ahead and start out with the first segment. And I swear that I would, normally I usually say to people, and it's 100% true when I say that, I don't like to talk about politics. I really don't. But I feel like this part of politics, I feel like, it's kind of general. So I want to go ahead and express it. This is probably one of those rare moments that, you'll ever find me and catch me to talk about something like this, because I don't think that I'll ever do this again for a while. You know what I mean? So, for those that are not political people, and you're just like, I listen to this podcast for the fact that I get away from the politics, and now I'm hearing something about it and I feel disappointed. Well, I want to first off say that I apologize for that. And if it's something that you feel uncomfortable in, you can skip this part if you want to, and that's fine. I don't hold it against you. Because I know that in the world of politics, it is one of those things where people are very sensitive about that. And a lot of people have told me that, it's one of those things that, two things that you don't talk about. One of it is religion. The other one, politics. And the reason being is that a lot of people find it very offensive, and they end up going to argue about something if they hear something that they don't agree with, and then it just goes way overboard. You know what I mean? And I get that, because I've seen it, I've heard it. It's really a nasty situation. But I'm going a little bit general about this. I'm not talking about specific policies or anything like that. I'm just going to go ahead and just shoot it from the hip. As of this moment right now, we are a couple of days removed in the United States of America. On November the 5th, that was the biggest day of our nation's, livelihood, where we had to go ahead and vote in the next president of the United States of America, the 47th president. Our current President Joe Biden was going to go ahead for a re-election, but then stepped down. Now, I don't really know specifically why he did. I mean, there's a lot of theories behind all that, but, he stepped down. So now we came to a situation that if Joe Biden wasn't going to be the president anymore, and he stepped down and wasn't going to go for another, term to go for a re-election, then we were going to have a brand new person in the White House this time. And, there were two strong candidates. One that was going for, obviously for the Democratic Party, the Blue Party. And the other one that was going for the Republican Party, that was, Team Red. Now, both of them definitely had experience in the White House. One of them was a vice president, Kamala Harris. And then you had a former president in Donald Trump. And I will say this, it was very, very, positive to hear that a lot of people were voting this time. They were really voting, and they wanted to do something about it. Certain people wanted to make sure that, where it was in life, that we, vote for things to be exactly where they are, and they didn't want change, and they liked everything that was going on, and that was good, and they voted. there are some people out there in the United States of America that did not like the way that things were ran, and they were very uncomfortable with it, and they wanted to have change, and they wanted to make change, and they wanted to make change where they felt like it would have benefited not only them, but the country of the United States. And they voted that way. And that was fine. You know, the one thing that I will say that I'm very happy about is that I think that a lot of people voted this time more than any other election in my lifetime. At least I think so. And I think it's good because as Americans, you know, we do have that basic right, you know, to go ahead and to vote. You know, it's kind of like saying, you know, we have two people that are jockeying for the position of a very good job. And we as the board of the directors are responsible to really make a decision on who we think that would be the best person for the job. Because essentially, in my belief, I think that the president, you know, is an important person, but I think that he works for the people. You know what I mean? Because he has to listen, or she has to listen, or they have to listen to what's going on around in the world, especially in the United States, and try to do the best that they can to make sure that things are ran in a very smooth, you know, situation. And on November the 5th, a lot of people made their voices heard. They voted. And they voted very, very, you know, they voted very, how can I say it? They voted with the confidence. They knew what was going on. They got the assignment in their own way. They interpreted it their own way, and they decided to go ahead and, you know, make a decision. And I was shocked to hear that we had the results literally in one day. Because normally with something like an election, it may take a couple of days. The last time I felt like it took more than a day. It definitely took like several days, matter of fact. There was a lot of things going on, controversy, things of that nature and so forth. And it just, yeah, that's just what it was. But at the end of the day, a new person came in and said, guess what? I'm taking the White House. And that's what's going to happen. There is a new person, a sheriff in town, and that person is now the 47th president of the United States of America. My thoughts is this. I can't really complain, you know, about the fact that, you know, I used to say a lot that, you know, people need to go out and vote. Well, they voted, so I can't complain about that. Do I agree with, you know, the results of what happened? I think that's irrelevant. Because I think no matter how many times people might say, you know, for those that, in this situation, no matter how many times that you say that you kind of disagree with, you know, the results, it doesn't change the fact that, you know, the results were what they were. And that we are going to have, you know, a person taking over the White House when, you know, and especially when knowing that Joe Biden is now, you know, leaving. You know, I'm just hoping, honestly, going forward, because I don't really want to go into, you know, specifics or anything like that. I truly don't. But I hope that going forward, you know, no matter, you know, where we are in life, whether if we, you know, come from, you know, Team Blue or Team Red or even Team Green, you know what I mean? That we will be a nation where we can come together. And that we can truly work together without really just disrespecting each other. If we can respect each other, if we can be open-minded, if we can find some way that we can actually gung-ho together and, you know, work together and make this happen, then yes, you know, we can make this a great thing, and we can be a United States of America, because it feels like it's, unfortunately, it does kind of feel a little bit that our nation's a little bit divided. And, we should live up to the namesake of our country, the United States of America, meaning that we all have to unite together and work as one. And I pray and I'm hopeful that this will actually work itself out in some way. I know right now there are some people that think that there's a dark cloud and the storm is a brewing. And hey, all I have to say is, I understand where you're coming from. You have every right to, you can feel the way that you want. You have every right to feel that way. I can't take that away from you. There are some people that are actually like throwing a party like it's Mardi Gras and is celebrating because they love the results and they're feeling like, America is coming back to the glory days. And, if that's you, hey, congratulations. I'm all about that. I can't take that happiness away from you. I really can't. Who am I to say that you can't feel happy about a good result that works out for you, or you can't feel sad for the result that does not favor you? I can't do that. What I can do is just be the voice to say, guys, going forward, starting in January, it's going to be a new day and a new regime. Whether if we don't like it or we do like it, we just have to work together. We have to work together. We have to be there for each other, and we have to do the best that we can. There are some nations out there in the world that have it a lot worse than we do. That's a fact. And the fact that we have a lot of freedoms here and a lot of liberties here, it's just great to have. And for me, being a person coming from a family of immigrants all the way from Vietnam, and being born here, I've been constantly reminded, how lucky I am, because, being an American, it creates so much opportunity. And they're right. I never take that for granted. But, I just want to say, guys, that, going forward, we're going to be okay. And, the people spoke. We always tell them to go out there and vote, and they did. So we can't be mad about that. We can't be mad at all at this point. We just have to understand that now life goes on, and we have to move forward, and we have to do the best that we can. We still got to love each other. We still got to respect each other. We still got to work with each other, and we got to find some way or method or ideology to, make sure that the next 4 years that we can live somewhat in peace and harmony. There are some things that are out of our control, and I would think that, politics in general is one of them. The only thing that we can do is just hope for the best. And also the only thing that we can do is that for every 4 years, we got to make sure that we go out there and vote. Rock the vote. Go ahead and punch your ticket. As a basic citizen of the United States, you have that right. As long as you're, here and you're a citizen, and you meet the requirements to go ahead and vote, register to vote. And then the next election, make your voice be heard and go out and vote. Because if you didn't vote, unfortunately, you have no right to say anything or complain. It's one of those things where it's like, sorry, coulda, shoulda, woulda, or I really wish that, this could have happened. Well, if you didn't vote, you can't say much about that. You can't comment on that. So all I gotta say is, guys, I'm with you. No matter what happens, I'm definitely with you. And let's just continue on. living life and, concentrating on, the process of life. Let's concentrate on ourselves and making sure that we take it one day at a time. One step at a time, one day at a time. One day at a time leads to 1 week at a time. 1 week at a time eventually leads into 1 month at a time. And 1 month at a time eventually leads into 1 year. So, hey, it'll be all right, guys. And I'll be with you every step of the way, I promise you. We're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break, a little bit of an intermission. This was a good start. When we come back, we will have round 2. I'm really excited, and, I might, again, we're going to go off the script today. We're going to see what happens. I don't know. But, there might be some moments where, I'll talk about a few things here and a few things there, and it'll be good. It'll be good. So, guys, go ahead and do what you need to do. Take a break. Answer that phone call. Text a friend. Go ahead and get a cup of coffee. Or if you don't like coffee, get your favorite beverage. But come back. Because the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is coming back, and we'll be back in full effect. Better believe. All right. I want to tell you about an amazing store that's really good for all musicians, music enthusiasts, and a whole lot more, which is Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center in Wheaton, Maryland. That's right, you heard it correctly. Since 1958, Chuck Levin's has been actually tearing up the game when it comes to the music scene. And guess what? Since 1958, they have been the store to go to and a must-visit destination for any serious musician passing through our nation's capital. So, if you're actually a person that's in a band looking for a new instrument, such as an electric guitar, an acoustic guitar, a bass guitar, or maybe some drums, if you're a DJ looking for like the greatest DJ equipment, such as turntables and so forth, they got you. Hey, are you actually in an orchestra playing a woodwind instrument, brass instrument, or strings? They got you. They got all the classical instruments that you need. And let's not forget, for all my fellow podcasters, need a microphone? They got you. Need a podcasting vocal track recorder? They got you. They got everything, man. And I'm telling you, it's the best place to go. So if you want to check them out, go ahead and do so, because right here at Chuck Levin's, they're the best. Forget the rest. Mess with the best. Located over at 11151 Veers Mill Road in Wheaton, Maryland. They're open Monday through Saturdays, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. If you want to know more about what they have to offer, you can go over to chucklevins.com online or give them a buzz at area code 301-946-8808. Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center. Like I said before, don't worry about the rest. Mess with the best.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I hope that you took the time to enjoy this break, whether if you were just getting something to eat, if you were getting a beverage, or making a phone call, or just doing whatever. We're just glad that you took the time to come back and to, hang out and kick it with us. It's really good. I know that for me, I actually took some time to step outside and get a little bit of a breather. But, now that we're in the month of November, I didn't realize, how cold it got. It's getting colder and colder now these days. So, time is definitely going forward. And this is definitely now, a good indication that fall and winter is upon us. Or at least fall is here and winter is upon us. So yeah, I mean, if that wasn't a rude awakening just to be outside and to feel the cold embrace of the chilly wind, I don't know what is. But, I was just glad to, get a moment to just breathe in the air and just to take some time. But then I was actually twice as happy about going back inside the house and just chilling, because once again I'm in a recording remote today, so it's an undisclosed location. It's in the DMV area. It's actually inside of like a little house, a little getaway house, and it's a real nice situation. And the fact once again that I get to bring my equipment and kind of do what I want and so forth, it's amazing. It's really incredible, and I like it, and it's good. It's really good. And as always, I am very happy and proud to facilitate more great content here for you guys on the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, and we're just going to keep going and going and going. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and ring the bell, because now it's round two. It's round two, and we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit more. This time, I'm actually going to take it back a little bit. Not too much, because this is going to be like another type of subject matter. But a few episodes back, I actually was talking about the different styles of what people do for podcasting. Like there's different, types of like styles, like martial arts, and different types of models of cars. There's different types of styles in podcasting. And I actually went over that, I believe in episode 39, I actually was talking about that, and I went through a little bit of like, different, qualities, or like different types of ways that people do their stylistic approach when it comes to podcasting. But most recently, I had a couple of people ask me a very interesting question, and I wanted to kind of, go back into the podcasting thing once again. And one question that came into mind that a lot of people asked when it comes to like a frequently asked question was like, when it comes to podcasts, what rules do you follow? Like, is there like a guideline of what you can or can't do, what you can say, what you cannot say, what you can talk about versus, the subject matter versus, talking about some other subject matter? And it got me thinking. I was like, oh man, this is a very good question. And I felt like it's necessary for me to talk about it, because for anybody out there that's a creative person that has a creative medium, and if podcasting is the creative medium or some sort, I feel like this would definitely be up your alley. For those that are not into podcasting but keep an open mind about creativity, this can be applicable to you. So I'm very excited to talk about this, because this gives me a chance and an opportunity to explain a couple of things when it comes to podcasting. And the short end of the story really is that when it comes to podcasting, there really is no right or wrong. It's pretty much all that you feel. And let me get into a little bit more of a longer detail. See, here's the thing, guys. When it comes to podcasts, it pretty much, it's the thing where like, you're going to make it your own, right? And you can talk about anything that you want, because it's your podcast and it's your show. You do whatever it is that you want. So for example, like, if you want to talk about things that you strictly know about, that's good, because it works and plays into the strengths of who you are as a podcaster, because you're actually applying real life knowledge of what you know, and you're actually making it work to your advantage when it comes to making content on a podcast. So I'm going to say, for example, I can tell you that I listen to a person who is all about, martial arts. And I listen to this podcast on a religious basis because, myself being a martial artist, I can appreciate that. And he talks a lot about, stuff about the martial arts, about like the traditional aspect, the modernization aspect when it comes to like sport karate. And then he goes a little bit sometimes out of his wheelhouse about, MMA, which is mixed martial arts and so forth. But he sticks with that because he talks about that, because that's his passion, that's his life. And that's something that he really feels comfortable in talking about, and that's cool. We got nothing bad to say about that. I think that's really amazing for someone to have a single focus on just martial arts or martial arts in general, or the branch of martial arts, or even the philosophies of martial arts. And I think that's really good. There have been some people that have made podcasts when it comes to things about politics. A lot of people feel very passionate about it. They seem to have knowledge about it. They seem to think that when they talk about this, it's a subject matter that they're they feel very strong about, that they feel very confident in, and they just go ahead and talk about it. And whether if it's something that other people may agree with when discussing about different type of policies or et cetera, that doesn't matter, because that's pretty much up to what the podcasting host wants to do. And I think that's fair. That's definitely cool. So in terms of what the format of your podcast is all about, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So if you want to go ahead and talk about, let's say video games, about politics, about religion, about music, about acting, sports, martial arts, maybe if you want to talk about, the world of cooking and food, photography, whatever it is that you feel comfortable in and that you feel like you have a strong knowledge base of, if you feel comfortable with it and you're okay to talk about it, then it's cool. There's no rules there. That's just you're just setting up yourself of what you would like to do. And that's cool. Now, as in terms of specific verbal content, I would say that there are no rules once again. I think that there are some people that make great content of podcasts, and they do it without profanity or just something that's offensive terms and stuff like that. And I think that's cool because they feel comfortable in doing that, and they want their other people to feel comfortable about it because they want to create a safe space, and they don't want any bad words or bad terminology to be fired out verbally that would be an emotional trigger, or just a trigger for that would do a number to their mental health situation. And that's to be respected. There are some people out there that really go, and to use the term very loosely, they go balls to the walls, man. They go all out. They will say anything and everything that they want. They will say any term that they want. They will go ahead and keep saying what they want until they're basically blue in the face. Meaning they will curse every 10 seconds or 15 seconds. They'll probably use some bad terminology and bad stuff and stuff that's offensive. Which, again, totally legal and totally cool. I mean, it's pretty much up to you about what you want to do. But understand that there are good sides and bad sides to it. Good side, I think, is that you're just showing who you are as a person. And the way that, if you talk about, let's say about basketball, and you talk about it in a way that's a little bit more mature, and you don't do profanity words or do anything of that stuff, then yeah, that's totally cool. people see that and they see your character and so forth, and they say, oh, well, this guy's a real, controlled person. It's a person that is, gives a lot of more mature thought and, is a person of restraint. Whereas if you're a person, that, let's say, again, talks about sports, but, you go very passionate and you start talking, things up your rear and start saying things that you shouldn't be saying with a lot of profanity words and just things that might be offensive or so forth, in a certain tone that might be aggressive, then at that point people might point the fingers at you and say, man, that guy's just crazy. I can't believe that he would actually go to that extreme and would actually say certain words like that and so forth. That's just, what we don't really agree with. And again, you have to really think about it like this. Although there are really no set rules, you have to really think, if I say certain things, how is this going to benefit me? And how is it going to hurt me? If it's going to potentially hurt you more than help you, it would kind of be not advisable to go ahead and do that sort of stuff. Just for the sake of saying that you don't want to, create any kind of stress or unnecessary drama or things of that nature. You want to make a podcast of, great content. And when people listen to the content, they're not going to slam you very harshly. You know what I mean? Or if they do slam you, that it's with as little as pain as possible. But then again, that's pretty much saying the same thing that I already said just moments ago. So, oh my goodness. But you guys understand what I'm saying, I always approach things, I have to be honest with people and I have to say exactly what's on my mind. I try for my style, about to follow my own rules. It's just I want to have fun with it and I want to have a good time, but I don't want to create a certain kind of controversy that people would just, really step on me. Like if, King Kong was on the street and squashed a little old human, for whatever reason, I'm not trying to be that type of casualty, I'm here to have fun and I'm here to make content, and I do have guidelines, that I follow, and I follow it to the T. I would say I probably would follow it about 99.999% of the time, so I feel pretty good. So I don't think that there's anything that anybody would say anything bad about me in terms of what I say, because I normally don't do that sort of thing. The one thing I will advise a lot of podcasters on when it comes to if you're going to make content and so forth, yes, do what you feel comfortable in. Talk about what you feel comfortable about. You know what I mean? Do not talk about anything that you don't feel comfortable in or you don't know nothing about unless you do the research. And even still, if you don't talk about it, that's still okay because you make the rules and you make the decisions. But just know that, for everything that you talk about, there is a possible reward and a possible consequence. So if you're willing to live with that type of situation where, I might have, some constructive criticism, but it's in a good way, cool. If you can live with that, that's fantastic. If you are a person that gets constructive criticism and it ends up being on the other side of the coin where it's really bad and you can't live with that, you may want to think twice. I mean, there are a little bit of some, a little give and take, a little checks and balances. I mean, this all happens. I'm hoping that whatever it is that you guys do, that, in terms of if you decide to go ahead and make a podcast, number one, I hope that you give it some serious thought. and about whether if you do want to be a podcaster or not. Number two, I do hope that you think about the content that you want to put out there. Do I talk about this? Do I talk about that? Do I talk about this? Do I talk about that? And lastly, you want to think about how you present it, because how you present it does matter. If you present it in such of a way that's it's less abrasive and is more inviting, chances are I think people might actually tune in a little bit more, and they're locked in and they're dialed in. If it's coming from another point of view and it's getting too intense, or you're just saying things that are not, it's the verbiage that's not comfortable with other people. Yeah, you might be in the doghouse. Just saying. But either way, I support all my brothers and sisters out there when it comes to podcasting, because I think it's an incredible medium. I think it's the one medium that we can truly express ourselves, and nobody can really tell us what to do. Because we're our own bosses when it comes to this. You might get direction in certain things that you do when it comes to actors. When you're being told you should do this and you should do that by the director, because it's their project and not yours. You're just the actor in their project. Or, if at work you're told to do this or this, you're an employee. You're not the CEO. You are not the person that's on the board of directors of the company. You are an employee of the company. So understand that. You know what I mean? When it comes to this, though, however, again, like I said before, there's no holds barred. Anything goes. It's up to you to decide what you do with it, how you present it, how you approach it, and how you make it relatable to people is the bottom line. I just hope that you guys do a good job in podcasting. If you already are a podcaster, or if you're thinking about being a podcaster, I hope that you make the decisions that is more suitable for you to decide what you want to do in order to be a podcaster on a more frequent basis. These are the things I feel like are very important, and I think that people should really think about when it comes to the podcasting game, especially when it comes to thinking about the said rules or what to do or what not to do. So I hope that this helps out. We're going to go ahead and step out. We're going to take a break. When we do come back, though, we will end this podcast, and we will end it, the usual way. Or it could be any other type of way. We don't know. But it's going to be fun. So, guys, stay tuned. More content is coming on the way, because the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, we're just shifting it to the second gear. And we're firing up all the cylinders, and we're ready to go. You know what I mean? So, take some time. Do what you got to do. But come back, because there's going to be more on the way here on the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. In life, we all want to have great health and excellent physical fitness. However, it's never given, only earned. That said, if you want to go to a gym that will help you to get there, then look no further than Kicked Up Fitness at National Business Parkway in Annapolis Junction, Maryland. Their mission at Kicked Up is to provide the ultimate functioning training facility that focuses solely on your success, with a diverse team that's highly qualified and dedicated to taking your fitness goals to the next level. Kicked Up also offers a variety of group classes and personal training programs that provide something for everyone, regardless of your fitness level. They believe in working hard, achieving results, all while having fun. So come visit their facility in person, which is located at 114 National Business Parkway, Suite 100 in Annapolis Junction, Maryland, 20701. Now, if you see my friend Sean Queen, who's the owner of Kicked Up, Tell him that Benny Chow of Miscalculated sent you, and he'll hook you up with a complimentary 7-day pass just to try it out. Need more info? Give him a call. 410-888-9066. Email them at kufitnessnbp@gmail.com or visit them at their website at www.kufitnessnbp.com. Kicked Up Fitness. Never given, only earned.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I'm glad that you're still with us, and we're actually here having a good time, actually, and I'm really glad and happy that we're here, and we're creating great content for you guys, and this is it. This is the moment. So real quick, as always, the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is asking for help on a voluntary basis to anyone that would like to assist us, in our podcast show, by the ways of sponsorship and or financially donating to the podcast to help improve the quality of our podcast and make it better for you guys. And all the money that we, get from the donations that we get and the proceeds and everything like that will go to, raising the quality of the equipment. So we'll get better equipment, like better microphones for our in-studio guests. We're going to go ahead and get XLR cables for those microphones, headphones for our in-studio guests, maybe even a MacBook Pro, so that we can have the up-to-date best MacBook that we can use, so that we can use the up-to-date version of GarageBand to give you the best type of, quality of episodes that we can give you guys of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Now, whatever it is that you can donate, no matter what the amount is definitely appreciated. You know what I mean? So let me insert the joke. If you can donate $5 million, which I doubt that anybody would donate that much, but you never know, that's appreciated. Even if you want to donate as little as $5, every little bit helps, and we do thank you for that. Like I said, donations are voluntary. You can do it like once a month to donate twice a month, 3 times a month, 4 times a month, or you can donate like a one-time deal, which is fine, or not at all. That's fair. As long as you guys can just spread the word out for us, we really would appreciate that. So, if you want to go ahead and do that, you can make a donation through the following, platforms and apps such as PayPal, Venmo, and CashApp. Now, to do so on PayPal and on Venmo, just go ahead and look us up under the tag name at KimHoangMDActor. That's at KimHoangMDActor. And on CashApp, which is the $ KimHoangMDActor. Once again, that is the $ KimHoangMDActor. And now, without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, we got the Q&A session, question and answer forum. You ask it and I won't answer it. We got 7 questions and it was really good. And I actually took a look at the questions and I selected them through the email process, and I just put them all in this sheet. We do appreciate the fact that you guys have been really been helpful by not emailing us any type of questions that deal with politics and or religion, because as we have said, that's just something that we don't like to talk about here. We feel like it's a recipe for disaster. It has ended friendships in general, and it also has brought a real bad vibe and energy, and we don't want to do that. You know what I mean? So Without any further delay, let's just go right into it because I'm really excited. Question number one, Kim. I've seen where Taekwondo uniforms were regular karate martial art uniforms back in the day. Why did they change the format of the uniforms to what they are today for such arts as the World Taekwondo Federation and the International Taekwondo Federation? And what are your opinions on it? Stephen from St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada. Now, number one, I just want to say this. I call it Newfoundland. Some people call it Newfoundland. I don't know which one it is. I'm just going with either or. But Steven, to answer your question, yes, you are right. I myself have seen documented pictures of Taekwondo martial artists from the 1950s and the 1960s wearing their uniforms, and it was a more of a karate-based uniform versus like the V-neck of the World Taekwondo Federation, or this kind of weird jackety looking ITF style of uniform. I don't know why they changed that uniform format. If I had to guess, I think they just wanted to have a uniform that was like more to their individual identity of their style of Taekwondo. That's what I'm guessing. I don't know if that's 100% correct. My opinions on it is that I don't really agree with that type of uniform change, because I feel like, a martial arts uniform in the terms of whether if it's karate or taekwondo or something like that, I feel like the drape over type of uniform should be the standard uniform. I realize that, each individual school and organization will do its own thing, and that's fine. But if you want martial arts to be martial arts, and if you want it to be unified, like Taekwondo, if you want it to be like a kind of a unification of solidarity of Taekwondo, I think that we should have like the standard regular, karate style Taekwondo uniform. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of people are going to say that I don't agree with that, or that's a bunch of hoopla, and that's fine, but that's just my piece. Question number two, Kim, what are your opinions on actors and actresses being hired for their looks and popularity versus their actual talent and ability? Kate from Rochester, New York. Kate, I always think that talent and ability wins over anything and everything when it comes to, actors and actresses in film. I don't like the situation that you hire actresses or actors because they look attractive and they got popularity, and it's going to kind of carry you points to even have your film be looked at more often because of a face. I don't think it should be like that. If if you earned a part, first and foremost, I think you earned the part because, the director and the casting officers think that you're worthy of it. But most importantly, I think that you should be hired as an actor or an actress in a film project based on your talent and ability alone. That's what I think. And if, I know directors and casting officers are going to do their own thing to, increase the chances of having their film watched and so forth, and I get that, but really, you're just cheating yourself if you're just getting a film made and you're getting actors and actresses in your film just because they look great and they made the People's Magazine's 50 top most beautiful people in the world. That stuff to me doesn't mean anything if you don't have any talent or ability behind that. At that point, you might as well just kind of take a back seat. That's just my opinion. Question number 3, Kim, every episode of your podcast, you always have a disclaimer. Why do you have that announcement? Louis from Woonsocket, Rhode Island. That is a very good question, Louis. I'm just going to say this, my man. with every podcast out there, they have a lot of great content. But sometimes, even the greatest podcasts out there say a lot of things, words and phrases and stuff that, they didn't really think about it, but it ends up being offensive. When I put out my disclaimer and people hear it, it is to protect me. It's a liability issue. I want people to know that there is going to be a strong possibility that, I might say some profanity words and it's going to offend people. I might say some phrases that, it's really out there and it might offend people. I might have guests that are really wild that will just go off the deep end verbally and it'll be offensive. And for me, I feel like if I put that disclaimer out there for you guys, it's just for my protection and it's for your protection. Now, there have been some episodes, I will say, that I did create and I didn't have those type of issues because I probably didn't use it as much or not at all. But that doesn't mean that there's not going to be a possibility where I might have a guest over and, they might just go nuts and everything and they might say the things that, normal people shouldn't hear. So that's the reason why. It's a liability issue. Question number 4, Kim, part 2 of the 6th and final season of Cobra Kai is coming out on Netflix on November the 15th on a Friday. Are you looking forward to it? And what do you think will happen? Augustina from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Ay, yes, sí, Boricua. Augustina, I am looking very forward to Friday on November the 15th. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be wonderful. I am a big Cobra Kai fan. I love the series. They do a great job. I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, they're going to take it off where they left it from the part 1 of season 6, where they go to the Sakai Takai martial arts tournament that's over in Barcelona, Spain. I think that we're going to see a lot of fight scenes, a lot of things go down. And, I'm kind of hoping for me personally that Miyagi-Do wins it. That's just my thing. I think that they could win it, but then again, we don't know. You know what I mean? You have the new Cobra Kai team around, so we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Can't guarantee much. All right. Well, let's get back into it, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like we're losing a little bit of focus here. Question number 5. Kim, at this point, the Baltimore Ravens are having a record of 7 wins and 3 losses. How do you think that they're doing so far, and what do you think about their chances of going into the postseason? Buddy from San Angelo, Texas. Yeehaw! Well, buddy, it's quite simple. 7-3 is really not that bad if you think about it in the standings of just, having a good record in general in the NFL. In the AFC North, we're number 2, so that's not bad. We're just like, we're 1 loss ahead against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, it's a tight race. Do I think that we're going to make the postseason? Absolutely. At least on paper we should. And I'm just going to say that. I'm hoping a lot of big things, but I don't want to think too far ahead. You know what I mean? So I think right now at 7-3 that we're doing pretty good, but we got to keep stacking them wins. And coming this Sunday, we're going to be playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. So I hope that we could, run away with an awesome miracle and just do what we got to do to win. And to just let people know, hey, we're the hot team here. You know what I mean? So that's where it's at. Question number 6. Kim, is there anything wrong with being brutally honest? Cecile from Reseda, California. Cecile, you know what? I've been asked this question a lot, even before this became a question here on the podcast. And I'm going to say it like like a broken record until I'm blue in the face. That I don't think there's anything wrong with being honest, especially when you're brutally honest. Because in my opinion, I feel like you're really letting your feelings out, and you're not sugarcoating anything. You're actually laying it exactly, where it is at, truthfully, without, sweetening the situation. I would say that, do you want to be brutally honest? Not if you can help it. I think you can be honest, but if they really don't get it to the point where they're absolutely, not getting it, quote unquote, being clueless, then yeah, you got to be brutally honest. Otherwise, how are they going to get the point? How are they going to get the point? So, no, I don't think there's anything wrong with being brutally honest, but I wouldn't use that as the first line of defense. Final question of the day of this podcast. Question number 7. Kim, when it comes to the microphone holders, do you like a mic stand or the microphone boom arm? Renee from Salina, Kansas. I didn't know there was a Salina, Kansas. Okay, well, Renee, I don't think, either or is pretty cool because, you don't bear the responsibility of holding said microphone. It really just depends on what you like. I personally like the microphone boom arm because you can actually position the microphone a lot easier to the proper level of height where you want to be at. And that the range between your face to the microphone, you can judge it a little bit better. Some people actually say it works more wonders and better wonders, and it's great because then you can actually put the microphone like right in your face, like where your lips are at. So there's zero room for margin to miss the target when you speak into the microphone. Some people just like the microphone stand a little bit better, for obvious reasons. Maybe it's just a little bit more easier to move around and such, and still it holds. And then there's the things like, what I have right now is a tripod that is from Shure that came with my MV7 microphone. And I actually like that because it's a little bit, kind of like a thing of the both worlds where, it's a mic stand, but it also has the flexibility of a boom arm where I can just kind of flex, the positioning of where I want the microphone to be at. So that's it. That's the whole kit and caboodle. That is the episode. Very happy that we got it done. It's incredible. It's a great feeling, and I'm happy. Let's go ahead and go over the closing show notes, guys, because we don't have a lot of time. Obviously, you can find us on Facebook. Go into the search box and type in the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. You can find us there. Follow us, and we'll follow you back. We're also on Instant. We're on a lot of podcasting platforms, but also before that, we are on two other not podcasting. We are on two other social media platforms. There you go, in Instagram and on Twitter, now known as X. Find us under the tag name TKHPC Experience, all in one word, lowercase letters. Follow us and we'll follow you back. We are on 5 podcasting platforms of Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. We have YouTube Music and on Audible, powered by Amazon, which is a great platform to actually access every podcast imaginable and audiobooks. And right now you can actually sign up on audible.com for a free 7-day temporary membership, a trial membership. And if you like it, you can keep it. You become a permanent member, and then you just pay $15 a month. If you don't like it, well, that's okay. You can just, move on with the move on, and that's cool. We get that. It's awesome. do a guy a favor and please just do us the following. If you have Spotify, please give us a 5-star ranking. If you have Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star ranking and a good written review, because the more times that you do that for each podcasting platform, then there will be more chances, increased chances that our podcast will be thrown out to the front of the lines, and somebody might be like, yo, this is the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I remember this because Michelle was talking about it. We should like it, follow it, and subscribe to it. And I would say yes, absolutely. Like the podcast, subscribe to the podcast. We really do appreciate that. Everybody, just do us a favor, like and subscribe to our podcast on all the podcasting platforms that are mentioned, and also do us another solid favor. Tell your friends, tell your coworkers, tell your family members in person, and let them know about the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. And, share it on your social media outlets like Facebook or Twitter, now known as X, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, all that good stuff. Because sharing is caring. And when you share it with other people, it's called brand awareness. And we really do need to have our brand being aware, our product being aware, our podcast being aware, so people know about it. You know what I mean? And of course, if you want to go ahead and email us, if you want to be a special guest or a special guest host, if you have any constructive criticism, or if you have any questions in our Q&A form, you can do so. Email us at thekimhoangpodcastexperience@gmail.com. Under the subject box, you can just go ahead and put in whatever subject it is, and then on the body of the email, write whatever you need to write. Let us know. Send it out there. I'll get the email. I'll probably answer it within a day or two, because I like to read incoming emails and I like correspondence in that way. You know what I mean? So that's it. That is it. We do appreciate your time and effort, and we definitely appreciate the love and support. As long as you want us to keep on, doing these podcasts, we will keep on doing it for you, because this is your podcast show as well as mine. And, we want you to enjoy everything that we bring out here on the tables. But, we just ask for you guys to please be safe out there and to, enjoy life in the best way possible, because it doesn't do us any good if you actually do something unsafe and you get buried 6 feet under. You know what I mean? Underneath the earth. And that's not really cool. We don't want that to happen. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be happy, because you deserve it. And we want the best for you in your life. And if somebody tells you that you don't deserve it, tell them to go ahead and kick rocks and get the heck out of Dodge. Because, you have no time for that negativity, and that doesn't do you any good. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. So that being said, once again, for the one time recording live from an undisclosed location somewhere in the DMV, I want to say this is your boy Kim Hoang, your host with the most. I got the voice and I got the choice. I'm the man with the plan. I'm the guy that can bring the power within an hour or less. And I just want to say thank you. We appreciate you. God bless you. And we'll see you on the next one here on the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. It's been real, guys. We'll be talking to you real soon. All right? We are out. Peace.